This is So Long Too Long, a true-to-life recounting of a band that, despite their very best efforts, seemed destined to break into the big time if they could only overcome one hurdle, themselves. If they weren't quite four lads who shook the world, they certainly gave their postcodes a tremble. As chronicled in our last episode, the Albany now had a set of 7 songs and one sort of gig to their name. The next logical steps, therefore, were getting a gig in town and recording some tracks, and we were aware of this. However, we saw the real value in continuing to act like rock stars, both online and in real life. Online, despite there only being one acoustic demo on our profile, our MySpace following was very much on the ascendancy. As social media in general was still a relatively new phenomenon, platforms like MySpace were yet to be swallowed up by monolithic companies intent on swamping them with algorithms, advertising and data mining techniques. As such, it was quite easy to reach a lot of people quite quickly and get them interested in you, providing you were either interesting or funny. Now, of these two options inhabiting our new band persona, we were mildly interesting at best, but certainly in Rowie and Frank Button, we were very funny. Although the received wisdom of today dictates that the mid-noughties were all about trilby hats, chin-high Stratocaster guitars and singing songs about Camden, in Liverpool for some reason the predominant scene for a brief period seemed to be emo or scene kids, who favoured eye-watering amounts of hairspray, preposterously tight ripped jeans and buckets of eye makeup. It was very much not our bag. Now, of course, any scene like this provides solace and identity for a number of young people who are at a vulnerable age of development, and only a year or two later, in another part of the country, a young girl called Sarah Lancaster would be murdered for simply dressing like a goth. So any in-group and out-group conflict is at the least puerile and at the worst dangerous. And I am also extremely aware of my hypocrisy in shaking my head at young Merseysiders adopting American accents when before long I was tying a fucking Rastafarian flag to my mic stand. But we felt that we wanted to be an antidote to a scene that we viewed as inauthentic and a load of tosh. We were never hostile or anti the scene, and we had a lot of mates who were immersed in it, but to us it all appeared a bit, well, daft. Of the bands that were at the forefront, most played punk pop emo songs that all seemed to be about teenage angst, sang with American accents that would fit into a rubbish coming-of-age Yank high school film. Each to their own, but it was not for us. Rather, we shot to the other end of the spectrum and delighted in the absurd and very unserious. Whilst a lot of bands' online posts consisted of trite poetry and black and white pictures taken from above, our posts were about our favourite Deal or No Deal contestants, pictures of fishermen with long beards, and semi-regular pieces of wisdom from our mate Cody. Of these, our favourite remains an outburst he threw at us all one evening after we had locked him out in his own garden. "I'm not including anyone or excluding anyone, but you're all cunts." It worked a charm. Although we're not talking Beatlemania here, it wasn't long before a tiny smattering of people would recognise us about town, and hearing the odd shout of "The Albany" at us solidified our sense of grandeur and gave us that bit more of a swagger in our step. All of this before our first proper gig too. We often hear, don't we, about all the great guitar bands and the jingle jangle from Liverpool and one thing or another. But around the time we were kicking off, there wasn't that, was there?
No, so we were just like latching on to like the bands that had just gone, and used to it being to like bandwagon nights, haven't you?
Yeah. So for set the scene, the bandwagon was a night in the Zanzibar. Ran by the Bandits, and it was, for a while, it was like the centre of the universe. It was, the NME even did a piece just on the Zanzibar and the bandwagon, and it was cool as anything, and it was known that you could, the bands could go upstairs and smoke weed, which, was very rebellious, but it attracted really big names. The Coral cut the teeth there, along with a few other bands, and then before long, they had like the Libertines, and this is the Libertines, not like, when they started falling apart and you didn't know who. This was when it was the four of them, and they were the hottest band coming out of London. And then I was at the one Noel Gallagher played it. That's how much everyone wanted to be there.
There was a pull there.
Oh, yeah. So I think I was still in sixth form for that. So by the time we'd formed, that is... wouldn't even say imploded. I think it trailed off because the Coral were no longer ours in that, like, they'd gone massive. They weren't a local band anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they weren't knocking around there anymore, were they? Too busy being a band.
Well, yeah, a real band. They had a number one album. So by this point, like, In the Morning would have been out. So I think that was the most played song that year on radio, or second to Beyonce or something like that. So they weren't going to be knocking around Slater Street worthy, you know. So, and then gradually the bandwagon just kind of fizzled out. No great big bang. So by the time we were coming on the scene, it actually, all that had gone, but we were just that bit too young, but we still wanted to kind of grab on to those, whatever was left of those coattails. We wanted to be involved in that scene, but it wasn't there anymore.
And what were we left with? People knocking around the courts.
The courts.
Yeah.
The
and
courts.
Just, like you say, like the scene kids and the emo kids, but we just weren't that. And like you say, with that bandwagon rolling off into the sunset, like, there was nothing there for us, but we knew as a band you need to attach yourself to a scene.
Yeah.
But there was nothing there for us. So, like, what do we do?
Well, that was it. And when you say the courts, for people who don't know, like, we are literally talking about the Crown Court in Liverpool. It was, I don't know if it still happens now, but it was the place where all the goths. You had many a misspent Saturday afternoon down the courts with your skateboard, didn't you?
And your green socks.
I was going to say, when I was back in Liverpool a few months ago, I went to the courts with like a bag of cans and that, and no one was around. Like, I just wanted to have a drink with some teenagers, as you do, coming from the Jimmy Savile experience. But yeah, no, I was like, I'll be honest, I was part of that scene when I was younger, because like I got that into it, that, you know, you shaved the Mohican in my head.
I did.
In the back garden, I
did,
Dyed it green, went to see Green Day and Slipknot and all that. So, like, I'm kind of, like, still loyal to the courts.
Remember that shaving your head in my garden? Like, it was a spare of the moment thing. I knew my dad used to cut my hair with dreadful results, but I knew we had a barber's kit in mind. So me and a mate, we shaved the Mohican into you and Cody's hair. And I remember we sent you home, and then I got a phone call off your mum. What have you done? What have you done to Steve's hair? I was like, oh no, it's just a Mohican. She's like, well, and how was your hair? I was like, oh no, mine's fine. I haven't done anything to mine.
I'm not doing that. Yeah. Honestly, mine looked like a dead skunk on my head. It looked like roadkill. So I didn't even do anything with it. It was just like that long hair that I had, just flat on my head, and just everything else gone. No wonder my mum was flipping like that.
Oh, wow, yeah.
You might as got a cop because it's just not 15. Styled enough. It's just because you've got this flat skunk on your head.
Did you dye it green, or did they make that up?
No, I did spray it green for I went to watch Green Day, didn't I, in Manchester. Wow. And that was interesting because like, there was a few of us and it was a bit rough. I think we were around Old Trafford. And it was just us with like these mad hairdos from Liverpool, and just a load of like lads on BMXs wanting to kick the shit out of us. And I was about 4 foot nothing, weighed about 6 stone.
But yeah, I remember you and Cody would hang around the courts of a Saturday. I'd pop my head down every now and then, but it wasn't my bag. Everyone was kind of into Blink-182 and Red Hot Chili Peppers and all that, and you weren't into that way. You were like more the Black Sabbath and, you know, the actual
like
rock.
Black Sabbath. I remember asking my mum if she'd watched me Rage Against the Machine hoodie. So that's how like rebellious I was.
And did she do what you told her?
She knew. She definitely, she knew.
Rage Against the washing machine.
When I say jump, you say how high.
No, clean your room.
But I think it's safe to say, we banged on about the Lars, but I think it's safe to say everything changed the moment me and you, and again Cody, first saw the Coral in the Stanley Theatre in about 2002 or 3. I think
that was the big game changer, that one. Like,
it was
when I suddenly like dropped the Rage Against the Machine hoodie and like...
Yeah. Start to go down the court, calling them all goths.
Yeah.
So that was on the Skeleton Key EP tour, so that's way before the first album. So we were early in on that, and it just blew our minds wide open, didn't it? That.
Yeah. Like I remember robbing the you know, not Robin, but took her off the wall, like the EP poster, and the Zootons supported that night.
Didn't
like,
he?
Before they were signed.
Yeah.
Who's the other band, the two lads on the guitar?
Hokum Clones.
Yeah, they played
were
as
great.
well.
Yeah.
So I got their signatures, got the coral, they all signed it, and then I got Mike, the security guy, who found our weed and didn't grass us up. He signed it as well.
So that would have been about 2002 or 3. But by the time we'd formed the band and we were where we are now in the story, that had all, it was out of our reach that then, wasn't it? Because as I say, the coral had gone too big, and even the Zootons, I think around this time, if Valerie wasn't out, it was on its way, but they'd certainly had the first album, which was Mercury nominated. So again, although you'd see Dave McCabe knocking around, you'd always see him knocking around, they weren't like a local band anymore, were they? So we didn't have anything to anchor ourselves to, did we?
Not really, just ourselves.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to like make our way. But like with all the MySpace stuff and like venturing into town, that was a way of trying to see where we can fit in.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. But
I remember getting into that band, The Music. Remember them?
They were fantastic, weren't they?
They were around that. I know they were from Leeds, but they were like kind of filled a little gap for about 20 minutes.
So there were like bands around on the scene. When I say on the scene, you'd read in the NME or on MTV2. But at our level, well, you say grassroots, we weren't even grassroots. We were seedlings, weren't we?
Yeah. And
there wasn't like that community of, oh, you've heard Forever Changes, have you? Have you got a guitar? It wasn't even as if you look back and think, oh, no, other bands did this, we just didn't know them. There just wasn't that for a brief period of time, was there?
Unless it was like an age thing for us, because like all the bands that were knocking around in Liverpool, they seemed like proper adults.
Yeah.
And when I say proper adults, just in the 20s. So it's not even like you could go over and hang around with them because you just felt like a kid.
Yeah.
But
at our age, there wasn't that. So, but this vacuum was kind of filled by this stuff that we just got. Well, I'm speaking for all of us, but we just couldn't relate to it, could we? The emo stuff. What bands was it like? Was My Chemical Romance around that time? Was it that type of stuff?
Because they were like the new ones at that time. Like My Chemical. Just.
I fucking hated them.
Yeah,
I can't take it serious. And what was
no.
Well, they were influential because it seemed like every band that like our age who were picking up guitars were just putting on like this mad accent.
Yeah.
It's crazy accent. And I don't know like why you'd carry on like listening to it. Never mind like start an imitation band.
Yeah.
But that's all they were. They were just imitation. They weren't trying to like break the mold or
give it a Scouse twist or anything.
It was just dreadful. It's dreadful.
They should have done it like skiffle. With power chords, emotional skiffle with power chords. That would have made them more.
Yeah, get the emo washboard going.
But imagine like there was like so many bands you go and see in these like little clubs, and there'd be like 4 bands on, and they're all singing about like being in detention after fucking geography or something. And it's like, fucking hell, what is going on here?
Yeah. And then combine that with this rise of social media generally, but particularly MySpace, and everything became about, we've said it before, but getting the image across, but all of a sudden the image that everyone seemed to be getting across was like, long fringes across their eyes and black and white pictures, and each to their own. I'm not knocking it, but it was just another world for us, wasn't it?
Oh, it was foreign to us, and like we spoke about our haircuts, and like another one, they weren't like that at all. And pictures online, we didn't even throw our own picture up.
No. So, but we didn't kick back against it because we had mates involved in that scene, and everyone was sound. It just wasn't our bag. But I think the way we pushed back against it was just leaning more into like our absurd stuff, wasn't it?
Our interest,
which at the time mainly consisted of Deal or No Deal took up a lot of our psyche, didn't it?
Noel Edmonds in general, to be honest. Yeah, he's had like so many revivals. Honestly, I don't know what he's doing now, but I bet he's got something lined up that'll keep him busy for another 10 years. Honestly, I used to have like a newspaper clipping on me at all times when he got caught speeding in his Ferrari naked, and I don't know why he kept it on me. I don't know who I'm going to show it to. But I remember having it folded up on my person for about Probably about 12 months, to be honest. Like someone's going to come over, like, oh, what about Noel Edmonds? And I, oh, you wouldn't believe this.
Funny you should say. But we became utterly obsessed with Deal or No Deal, and it just took up so much of our conversations that we'd end up ringing each other saying, have you seen it tonight? 'Cause the show itself was getting more and more absurd, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, essentially, you're just picking a box and it's all random, but Noel Edmonds just inhabited this godlike persona.
Oh, the show would be over in 5 minutes, but because of him, you can get an hour out of it.
I do remember one guy going on and he just went 1, 2, 3, and like that. And then you got like $4,000. I was like, fair enough, you just turned up and someone just gave you $4,000.
We were utterly in love with one of the contestants, weren't we? What was his name?
Geordie.
I
loved him. I loved him because he was a gobshite. Because every time, like when another contestant was on, and then Geordie, I want to pick Geordie's box, and he'd come out with like some corny ass shit, and then reveal the box, and don't worry, Geordie. When he just took the 250 grand off the don't worry, Geordie. But he was just full of shit. And because there was like no on demand at the time or Sky Plus or whatever. But I remember when it was Geordie's turn, Matty texts me, are you watching it now? And I was like, I'm going to have to run home and get this on. But like, do you want to tell about Geordie's tactic when it was his turn?
No, you grand reveal. So
Geordie gets pulled up by Noel. It's your turn, and everyone's fucking buzzing for him.
They're crying, aren't they?
Yeah. And he goes, like, no one's done this. I'm just going to go left to right. And then even Noel's like, we need to get an hour out of this, you know what I mean? So he starts off, I think his first 4 boxes, he plays a fucking blinder, all blues, he's fucking flying. I forget what he ends up with, but he does not get 250 grand. But if you can find the episode on YouTube, and if you want to waste an hour, go and do it. But honestly, Geordie, like, I wondered if he's still knocking around.
I'd like to think so. I wonder what he spent his hard-earned cash on. Well, yeah. It just took over our life, and we'd be putting bulletins on MySpace about our favourite Deal or No Deal moments. They did revolve around Geordie. I think by the time we did get gigging, which we'll come to another episode, I do remember us dedicating a song to Geordie.
Says a lot, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. We loved how just the pomp that was just increasing week on week. Noel Edmonds it was almost like becoming a cult, wasn't he? He'd walk on the East Wing, the West Wing, the theatre, the Church of Dreams, and they'd all be holding hands by the end.
It was like cult-like.
Yeah, it was.
But like, I seen enough sense not to get. I weren't drinking the Kool-Aid by that point. You know what I mean?
I applied for it and was asking all my questions like that. Like, do you believe like the stars align for it?
Really?
I'm like, look, mate, I'm on the dole. I just want to try and get I'll take the offer at 300 quid. To be honest, give me bus fare and give me 300 quid home. Sound
from Nipple Boy UK.
But I think if I would have been on, I would have been like really aggressive. Do you know, where they're like, don't worry about it. Why the fuck is 250 grand in your box?
Would you have been Steve or Frank?
Francis all day.
Francis. Oh man, and we agonised over who the banker might have been. Did you hear it today? You could hear his voice. It's Defo bloke. Did you get an accent on it? Who's the banker? Our lives revolved around that. Other bands were probably, I don't know, experimenting with mind bending drugs, but not
learning their instrument.
Oh well, there is that. Yeah.
Think of what they missed out on.
A bass player.
A bass player.
Given that one of our main songs started with a bass line.
I could have been behind one of the boxes.
So this is what we spent our time doing. That was our scene. That was our Saturday. And what else did we lean into? Very much just daft pictures of fishermen with long beards.
Yeah, the fishermen with long beards. Grandstand theme tunes, I think that's a thing now, but I think we were way before that.
Yeah. It's called library music now, isn't it? There's big collections, but we were just banging to theme tunes, weren't we? Grandstand. Yeah. Big Break was a
Big Break's the best.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Great the lyrics in it.
What is it, Steve? What's your favourite lyric?
Love is a game, snooker's the same. Shakespeare wish he had that line.
That's it. 20 years I've been trying to top that lyric. And in the midst of this was our mate Cody. We'd be keen to push out to the world. He was nowhere near in the band, but his pearls of wisdom were just... He's a genius.
He certainly is. I remember him opening the door for a pizza guy. We were a bit stoned and ordered this pizza. And I don't know why we were all naked, but he opened the door and he had this rasta hat. It must have been your rasta hat, Matty. And he had it covering his bollocks, but he's paying the guy in like 10p's. Like this 20 quid pizza, well, probably not 20 quid back then, what, 8 quid in like 10p's. And then he dropped loads of the money. And he's like, oh, sorry, mate. And then bent over to get the change. And the pizza guy was like, oh, fucking hell.
Just have it.
We had a habit of streaking for a very short period. No explanation. I don't think we need to go into that anymore. But we had just a
yeah. How we didn't get battered.
Oh, I know. Saturday night streaking around Old Swan in the buff. Fucking hell. Just a rasta hat on.
My next door neighbours, like the next day, be like, were you running around the streets naked last night? Like, no, it wasn't me. You make with the rasta hats on.
Too busy robbing football flags from the fields. Well, Cody's one, the one that really sticks in the mind is the one I've mentioned in the narrative there. I'm not including anyone, I'm not excluding anyone, but you're all cunts. I mean, how'd you top that?
Let's say that's up there with Captain Sensible, isn't it?
It just that incident is another daft story. We were all in Cody's playing Flood, no doubt. The card game with no rules other than you had to stick your card to your FOD. I don't know why, but we were in Cody's conservatory, and Cody goes around with a fruit bowl to everyone and says, see that house over there that he backed onto? Yeah. Oh, it's a drug dealer. All right, yeah. Tell you what, lads, can you just all lash fruit at his window for me, please? So we all obliged, like, oh, yeah, all right, no sweat off my brow. We're all there lobbing tangerines and bananas at this house. And then, of course, before long, there's a knock on the door. And there's a very angry drug dealer. Cody's half cut. He's going, what the fuck are you doing? Throwing fruit at my house. And Cody, he just goes, it wasn't us. And then he goes, it wasn't us, but you know what? The same thing's been happening to me.
The thing is, though, we were throwing the fruit from his back garden, so the only house it could have been was ours, or the 90-year-old woman next door. So
he just out and out, oh no, the same thing's been happening to me. If I catch them, mate, I'll let you know. And then we'd had enough of him. We locked him out in his own garden, and then when we opened the door, he was like a caged lion, wasn't he?
I remember when he stormed back in because he had a downstairs toilet, and I fucking bailed to go up his stairs, but Steve was coming out of the toilet, and he just got twatted in the back of the head out of nowhere. You didn't even see it coming.
See, I had 2 bottles of Aussie Whites in me at that point, so...
And that's when he rounded us all up and said, I'm not including or excluding anyone, but you're all cunt. And to this day, that's still... I can't top that wisdom.
Yeah, I want that on my grave, like...
Oh, man. Yeah. God, that's Cody. This ascendancy of popularity and increased, no matter how small, attention also meant that we felt the urgent need to spread the good word of the Albany in person. And with the fervour of a prophet returning from the wilderness, we eagerly cornered anyone we could find in the pubs and bars of Liverpool and told them how we were the next big thing and we were going to conquer the town in a matter of time. Around this point, people were starting to notice us, though, weren't they, in town? Even though we only had one song up on, no pictures of us. It caught fire because in those days it didn't take much to reach people, did it, online? Like now, if you want to reach someone, an audience, you've got to pay for a promoted post, or you've got to have the right hashtag, or crack the algorithm. There was none of that then, was there? It was just if someone was following you, they saw you. And so
they didn't have like social media teams or anything. So
No.
if you hated the band, you could message them instantly and say how shit they were, and they'd respond.
which you did.
Which I did most nights.
It was the Wild West, weren't it?
Oh yeah, remember we did track some right weirdos. I mean, that's fair enough, really. But I remember there was one bloke from Wakefield. I can't remember his name, and he just looked like a horrible scumbag on his picture, and he'd always just message Steve in particular, just giving you abuse. I don't even know who you fucking are. Picture was in with hardly any teeth and a rollie, really smoking it down to the filter, and he'd just give Steve just a barrage of abuse, just for no reason.
I probably deserved it, to be honest.
Nipple boy.
Yeah, I wasn't the 6-year-old kid he was messaging. He thought he was.
I remember we used to interview ourselves, didn't we?
Oh, like on the bulletins?
On the bulletin, yeah. So
yeah.
again, I know I sound old, but MySpace, it was, you'd have your profile and you'd put out bulletins, it was like just a mass message to everyone, wasn't it? A bit like Facebook statuses now, but it was you could customize it a bit more, and
you had to like go into it to read the content, and it wasn't just like a status.
Yeah. It wasn't on your feed, was it? But you clicked on your bulletin board, everyone you'd see would follow, and we used to use that to like interview ourselves and lean further into this daftness, didn't we?
Absolutely.
Like Frank Button interviews Rowie of the Albany.
Just like stupid questions, like the deal or no deal, what's your favourite show, and music that you're into. But like, for some reason, people were like lapping it up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Especially this like Frank Button character.
Caught fire. And we did like, we pretended there was going to be a meet and greet in the Jacaranda. We were pretending, for one night only, come meet Frank Button and the Albany, and like we had people messaging going, "Oh, is this happening? Yeah. Is this come down and meet Frank Button?" So, whoa, this is catching, man.
I'd only turn up if they buy me a drink.
And then go ahead, Steve.
They should have known, like, so in the Jacaranda, because we spent a lot of time in the Jacaranda, didn't we, downstairs? But the same thing happened every night. We get pissed and just sing kids' TV show themes, didn't we? That's mainly what our nights kind of would have grand ideas and then start singing the Funhouse or something like that.
Yeah, they were our band meetings, really, weren't they?
Yeah, never got anything out of them apart from just an hangover, to be honest.
And if we did meet anyone that was like interested, like fans, or like I'd say fans, like fan, they always like should have been in prison or something. Weird, weren't they?
In these early days, yeah, we had nothing to back ourselves up with. It was just daft, and but we were doing it on our own, weren't we? Like there was no other band. It's not as if there were a bunch of bands and this is what you do, and there's the scene built around this nonsense. We just didn't give a toss about anyone else.
Like Steve was saying there, but there was no like blueprint to do it because it was all like new to social media. So it was strange, like when we'd be out in town of a weekend and you're getting like shouts of like, "Oh, the Albany," and you turn around and you wouldn't have a clue who said it, but it's like, I definitely heard it.
Yeah.
People are digging this.
See, I think at the time as well, I think I started working in the Crack when I just turned 18.
The pub, the Crack.
Yeah, and that had like quite a few like interesting characters in it. And I'd work like most days and just sell our band constantly.
Yeah.
By like just being like the biggest bullshitter and saying, these tunes we've got and all this, and really we had nothing, but so that helped a bit.
The image I've got is that like we'd all be in separate corners badgering separate people about the band.
Yeah.
So I'd be like cornering someone saying, and we're the greatest thing. If Brian Wilson would have kept it together and came from Merseyside, he'd be us. Yeah, sounds. Yeah, keep an eye on us. I'd turn around, walk away, and Ro would be badgering someone else. And then we'd look at Steve, be haranguing someone, saying, we're the best. It was like a mission, like we were like preachers.
Yeah, we didn't know what else to do or how to do it. So we're like, you've just got to bug people and tell them that there's something coming and you better get ready and just like strap in.
If you got those like three groups of people together and said what were they talking about, then you would have got three different responses about what band it was. You would have got Brian Wilson, you know, Libertines or something, and then Slipknot. You know, so.
There is one such incident that sticks in the mind. One balmy summer evening, Steve, Bob, Cody and I were having a drink in what was then called Hannah's Bar, which had the best beer garden in the city. Fueled by ale, we were aggrandising about our non-existent legacy and our equally as absent achievements. At one point, we struck up a conversation with a bunch of unassuming lads who were sat by us, who explained that they too were in a band. We'd heard of them via the NME, and things got off to a fantastic start when Cody proclaimed his love for the band's album. This was met with a pregnant pause before their singer matter-of-factly explained that not only had the album not been released yet, it wasn't even recorded, which is why they were in Liverpool to visit Park Street Studios. Undeterred by such a faux pas, we badgered them further and we got them to sign a bunch of napkins and a card they had that offered a delivery service for magic mushrooms. They were patient enough, but clearly didn't appreciate us hounding them, and it couldn't have been long before we started talking to them about our fantastic band. I recall that once it was my turn to step up to the podium and preach the gospel of the Albany and the good book of Groovy Gary, their drummer rolled his eyes and asked me what we were called. The Albany, I proudly proclaimed. Shit name for a band, nah, he said before returning to his drink. Are you fucking messing? Especially with a name like your band, I spluttered before rounding up the gang and vacating Hannah's Bar in disbelief and disgust at the affront of a band with such a rubbish name criticising ours. What did they know? I do often wonder whatever became of the Arctic Monkeys.
So, yeah, that night,
Yeah.
when we were in Hannah's Bar, we were out before, or you guys had been to a beach or something. I can't remember, but everyone was dressed mad. And I turned up late.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you were all done in anyway.
I think I had like a Hawaiian shirt. Oh, Christ, yeah.
Like,
Forgot about
you
that.
just looked a mess. Like, I'm not saying I didn't, but like I was dressed for the occasion for going out and still managed to make myself look like a knob.
Oh, that explains even more. That explains why they were less interested in talking to us. I can't remember who got into conversation with them. You went there, were you?
No, but like Arctic Monkeys were like massive on MySpace before they released anything.
That's it, yeah.
I remember like getting the demos from wherever, like online, and I remember like banging on about him in college to Cody. So like I must have planted a seed there for him to like for the name to stick, but I loved them. They were brilliant. It was new. Unfortunately, we're from Liverpool because we would have been able to like hang out with them, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, the night was all on you. You were there to like sell us, and didn't quite do that.
And our opening gambit was Cody. So it's only going to go one way from there, isn't it? Only going to go. I remember him saying, "Oh no, I love you. I love that. I love your album." And Alex Turner just kind of looked at him and went, "We ain't recorded it, mate. That's why we're here. That's why we're here." Okay. Take two. Come on. Right, got one more shot at this. I remember Matt Helder, he's sitting with his back to me and kind of goes, fine, what's your band? What are you called? The Albany. And he went, shit name, that. I just looked away. I was just incensed.
How dare you?
Yeah. I remember saying, you're called the fucking Arctic Monkeys. We're like, oh, yeah, what do you know? Oh, yeah, what do they know? Yeah. I know which band I'd rather be in.
Yeah. Like, I remember going into Hannah's Bar and Bob was in his shorts and pulled out a wad of money and bought me like 2 Dr. Peppers to like try and catch me up.
Dr. Pepper shots, weren't they?
Yeah, Dr. Pepper shots, yeah. And obviously I didn't have any money and Bob was paying as ever. And then when I was getting my drinks, there was a lad in there, like a bit older than us, I think, but I got chatting to him anyway. And of course I wasn't asking anything about his band or anything. I was talking at him about the Lars gig at the Ritz.
Yes.
Like being a Jehovah's Witness Lars nutter, just like. And then when I came outside, like these are all sitting there like in the beer garden type thing. And I said, I was just speaking to a nice lad there about the Lars. He's in a band. He had a name, I think said like the Arctic Monkeys or something. I didn't get it right, like the Monkeys or something.
Yeah.
Like, and then I remember he's going, fuck off. The Arctic Monkeys are over there. And I was like, yeah, why are you, Artie? I'd never even heard of them. And then that's when we went over and made absolute dickheads out of ourselves.
I wasn't into them, and I will now, hands up, say it was pure jealousy. I refused to listen to them because the pain of seeing a band rise dead quick and like exploiting my space and doing what I wanted to be doing, that panged. I was like, I can't face listening to them. So I didn't actually know a note by them, but I knew they were the shit hot band in town, and that stuck with me for years. That I was just so jealous of the Arctic Monkeys, and so when they told us we had a shit name,
See, I knew we were in trouble when we met them because they had a bass player as well. I said, "Oh, what do you play?" And he went bass. I was like, "Yeah, they're gonna go somewhere. They've got a fucking bass player."
Can you play Big Brie?
Yeah.
Or did you pass any advice to them?
Oh, probably.
I was chatting at them about the Lars gig, just being, but no wonder like no girl even listened to me because that's all they kept banging on about, just like fucking the Lars at the Ritz, best thing ever. The Lars boring myself, and then
that was 6 months ago as well, wasn't it? It wasn't as if we come straight from it.
I think we were doing all right with the conversation because we weren't like starstruck or anything because they weren't.
Yeah,
they weren't
really
anything
that
really
famous. Like they were known. Yeah,
they were known.
But Cody said the line as the first thing, and then it just went downhill from there.
It did.
I've got the signatures from it. That's what Cody got his dad at least.
Yes, you've still got them, haven't you?
Yeah, so like the next day in college, Cody was obviously because I think no WhatsApp groups or whatever. Cody just froze us a napkin. I was like, "What's this?" He's like, "Oh, that band, the Arctic Monkeys. There's the signatures there." I was like, "What?" So, "Oh yeah, I was out with them last night." And I was like, "Oh, fuck off."
I forgot. Yeah, I had a magic mushroom delivery card, and I got them all to sign it.
Yeah. Have you still got that?
No, my mum threw it away. She found it with some other material.
Paraphernalia.
Yeah.
Ah, man.
But I remember I had it stuck on the Coral poster that was signed by Mike, the security guy, and everyone. And
it was the original lineup, wasn't it? The original bass player.
Yeah, so you probably were inspired by the Albany, fucked off the bass player, then realised like a hot second later, shit, no, we need one.
Imagine me going on Antiques Roadshow in like 30 years and saying, well, Stephen here's got a magic mushroom delivery card service signed by the Arctic Monkeys. Tells the story.
Right, so Cody.
By the way, the number still works.
But there was no other band like them, even on the ascendancy around us, was there? So that was a proper brush with fame. And then we shook ourselves off and got back to talking no deal or no deal, didn't we?
Yeah. Fucking better, didn't it? No, I remember it a couple of years later. They were playing, I think it might have been the second album, Arctic Monkeys in town, and they were playing the Academy. So me and my missus, we didn't have a ticket, but we thought, we'll try and get one outside off a tout. And as we were coming down London Road, I see the guitarist, Jamie Cook.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And he's just walking on his bill. So, like, kind of like still new band, and you're not going to get bugged. I said to him, let's get off the bus here and go over. So I went over to him, and he's just walking like along St. George's. I went, Jamie. He just turns around. Have we got any tickets for tonight? Oh, no, sold out, mate. The biggest thing since sliced bread. Sold out, mate. Passed all my tickets off. You're going to have to ask like one of the support bands. I was like, oh, come on, lad. Come on, just get us in there. He's like, do you know where the Rat and Parrot is? I was like, I'll walk, yeah, go ahead. didn't get, took him to Rat and Parrot. Didn't get a ticket out of it, like.
I'd like to think they'll be telling these stories one day. Yeah, we met
Remember
this band,
them
right?
knobheads?
Yeah. Well, they did an interview not long after that, and they got asked about recording in Liverpool. I don't know if it's in the NMA or something. They said, yeah, Liverpool, but like Liverpool's great in that, but the bands are like knobheads or something like that, or the egos are too big. And I was thinking, I hope he means us.
I'm gonna have to hunt that interview out.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
No, oh God, no.
He's just said in one line that this whole episode.
I'm sure Bob got them around in though. So they should have just been grateful for that. And listen to our shit.
They should have known the place then.
They should have known, yeah.
Support
lad in the
please.
shorts, -4's buying you a drink.
We'd have been telling them to support us with our egos back then, wouldn't we? We'll get you the slot at the CI, mate, don't you worry. So Long Too Long is a podcast written by me, Matty Lackman-Day, also starring Liam Rowlands and Steve Buckney. For more information, search So Long Too Long podcast on all socials or email us at solongtoolongpod@gmail.com. So Long Too Long is part of the Club Shipwreck network. For more information, go to www.patreon.com/clubshipwrecked. Thanks to John Gibbons and the Anfield Rap for loan of the studio.